Hey there, Heather Boyd Wire here, and today it's Tip Tuesday. So today we're going to be making some beautiful snowflake rings. Now today's idea was inspired by the 10-day wire gift making challenge. We made some snowflake napkin rings, and during the premiere we discussed the idea of making them smaller as actual rings for your finger. So Tim in the Wire Art Jewelry Makers Club ran with the idea. He made some beautiful, beautiful rings that you can see in the Facebook group. Now Tim also has his own YouTube channel, and I'll link that up below where you could find some of his funky wire jewelry projects. Now what you're going to need for the snowflake ring is a variety of wire and beads. I'm going to do some with 20 gauge wire. I have 22 gauge wire. I have some bugle beads, seed beads, and a variety of other beads, and of course my tools. For the first ring, I've cut 3 pieces of 20 gauge wire that are about 6 or 7 inches long, and what you want to do is just bring them around the ring cone. If you don't have a ring cone, you could use a marker or a highlighter, but you want to just get this part like centered. So this is the middle part here, and then you're going to have to bend 3 of them up at an angle. Just bend them up like that at a right angle. Put them back on the ring cone. Here you want to bend it up at a right angle to where you want these 2 to connect. So we're just going to bend that up at a right angle, push it down to get it nice and curved around, and then what you want to do is wind these pieces together. So we're going to take another piece of wire and wind it around to hold these in place. So just take the other wire. You could do a slightly thinner wire if you want, and we don't want to bend it around too many times or it's going to like make it a little bit too high there. And so just a couple of times, and then take your cutters and cut, and then take your cutters here. This is sort of similar to the way I started the tree ring and the chaos ring. I'll link those ones up below, except instead of twisting with a separate wire, I twisted all the wires together. So there's so many possibilities for this design for the ring, and so then we just want to make sure it's nice and like push it down a bit. If you want to just make sure these are nice and pushed against the cone, and then hold it like this. And now you're going to separate these wires. So we're going to bring them out, separate them in a way that they're kind of equal distance apart. So just check where they're actually positioned, and then try to make sure that they're sort of in order. You push them out in order. So there we go. We have it like that. And this one ended up being a little smaller, so I should have been a little more careful about centering that. And in any case, we're going to trim these after. So what we want to do now is just remove it, and then we're going to get our beads. And I'm going to do the snowflake color beads for this one. And so we're going to take a little 4mm pearl. If you're not sure how many beads are going to fit on there, start with your smallest wire. I like to add metallic beads too. There's a metallic spacer bead. Here's a faceted glass bead, a crystal bead, and then I'm going to put another spacer bead. This one's a little bit different, and then a pearl bead on there. And then basically all you want to do now is just turn the ends. So we're going to trim this one to about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. We don't want too much of a round end on there, and so we're going to clip it. That's like about 1/4 inch, and then get your small round nose pliers, and you can turn it. So you could either turn it towards the back if you don't want the loop showing, or towards the side if you want the loops showing. We're just going to turn it around in there. And there you have your one end, and we're going to do the other sides. So here's the finished ring. It's super fun and festive, and then the finishing touch, you can always put it back on the ring form and make sure that everything's in the right position. So it looks super cute, super fun, and it's perfect for the holidays. So for this one, I'm going to use thinner wire. It's 22 gauge, and what you can do is rather than cut them in individual pieces, you can always just start with one long piece and then you can cut them after. So we're just going to go back and forth. These end up being about 5 inches long. So we're just going to go back and forth and do as many as you want. So I actually have 12 wires here all together, and what I want to do first is just give it a bend towards one end so you have enough to put the beads on here. So just about 1.5 inches from the end, we're just going to bend it up at a right angle to get it started. And then we can put it on the ring cone, so just bring it around here all the way around, and then same thing we did in the first one. Tricky to hold them all in place, and then we're just going to take this and bend it up at a right angle again. So we're going to just have these like connected in a right angle. It's going to be a very wide band, but it should be fun. So now we're going to take this wire, separate wire, and just wind them all together. So we'll just take this, wind it around, and you really want to bunch them up together. That's the idea. We just want them nice and bunched together. So take these 2 wires and just really bring them around. I would maybe wind it around about 3 times so it's nice and tight, and then clip it, and then clip it on the other side, and then we're just going to pinch it in place. And you can tighten this part up after if you like. That's not a problem at all. But now what you want to do is we want to separate these a little bit. Here we're just going to bring them out and separate them a little bit. And I also want to cut them apart, so these loops are cut apart. You could also do this just with individual wires. It might be just as easy if you don't want to go through this step of cutting the ends after. It's just sometimes it's easier to hold, for them to hold together if they're kind of all in one piece. But just go ahead now and trim it. Don't worry if they're all the same kind of size. It doesn't really matter. And then you'll just put it back on the ring cone, and then this is where you want to bend your wires out. So hold it firmly in place where you want the size to be, and then just take these wires and start pushing them out, and push them out in a way that this little ring here is going to stay in place. So just try to figure out where the wires are, and then just really give it a good tug on there. We're just going to have different kind of positions of these wires, and then we're going to put the bugle beads on them. So we're going to have them all kind of sticking out like this, and if this wire here ends up being too loose, you can use a thicker wire to attach it there. That's not a problem at all. And then what we want to do is take our bugle beads, whatever size you want. These ones are quite tiny, but you can get larger size ones too, or you can alternate. We could do some big, some small. So we're going to stick the bugle bead on there. So we'll put a little seed bead on the end there, and then this one you want to cut, like, could be even a little smaller than 1/4 inch. So we're just going to give it a little clip, and then we're going to take our round pliers and give it a little loop. And then we're just going to keep adding these bugle beads to all of the wires. If you find you're having trouble with this being too loose as well, you can actually take this wire that you've wound it around with and pull it inside the ring a couple of times, and that'll reinforce it, and that'll make sure that it actually stays firmly in place. So you could like turn it around like one side of the ring there, and then flip it, and then turn it over the other side. This will just give it a little bit of more reinforcement, especially since this wire is only 22 gauge and it's a little bit more fragile than the 20 gauge. So I'll show you what I've done there. I just wound it around there, and then I went ahead and wound it on either side as well to be secure. So now we have one last one to put on there. We'll stick our last little bugle bead and our last little seed bead. Just make sure the bugle bead goes right to the center there without breaking it. They are fragile, you want to be careful. Cut it to about 1/4 inch there, and then take your small round pliers and just holding the seed bead there, just wind it like that. So now you have this super funky ring, and then at that point you can adjust these so they're in the position that you want. Looks like a little starburst or something. These rings are fragile. This is definitely a novelty ring, a special ring to wear for a special occasion. It's got a wide band there. It ended up being quite a small ring, so it could be a pinky ring, and it's super funky. If you do want to do one that's just wire, similar to the wire napkin holders that we did, I would definitely reinforce on either side of this so these won't wiggle around. And a little hack, just make sure these are all cut to the same length, and then you can go ahead and do any kind of squiggly designs, or if you just want to simply do some spirals, you can do that as well. So whatever is your preferred way to make the spirals, you could start from the outside in, or you could do them on the cone, which is a way I like to do them often, and do them as tightly or as loose as you want, and just bring them in here. And then if you do want it tighter, just kind of bring it in a little bit. If you have some pliers that don't scratch, it would be best. Otherwise, you can just take it with your thumb and finger and bring them in like that. And you could do a bunch of spirals going in the same direction. So once you've done all your spirals, you can check to see if this one goes over that one, over that one, over that one, however you like the look of it, and then put it back on your ring cone. Adjust it a little bit. It's sticking up a little bit, so if you want to push the edges down a little bit, you can do that. If they flip a little bit, it's fine. So just adjust it how you like the look of it. Keep in mind, this could get caught on things, but it's pretty solid. It's 20 gauge wire. So there we go, and there's our beautiful spiral ring. So thanks so much for watching the video. Give it a big thumbs up if you liked it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for lots more wire art and jewelry making videos. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I go live and when I post new videos. And if you'd like to join my Facebook group, the Wire Art and Jewelry Makers Club, I'll link it up below. And if you'd like to check out my work on Etsy, my husband and I specialize in custom wire wedding cake toppers and unique jewelry. I also send out a monthly newsletter, so if you'd like to sign up below, I'll send you my Wire Art Essentials ebook, where I give a list of my supplies and materials and a few tips. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you the next time.